Howdy, y'all, and welcome to another episode of Budget Hunter. Before I even begin today's episode, I want to give a warm thank you to all of my viewers. My last video got up to 200 views, which I know in the grand scheme of things doesn't really seem like a lot, but to someone who's just starting out, that really means a lot to me that I was able to reach that many people, and hopefully I was able to entertain that many people. So thank y'all so much for y'all's support. I can't thank y'all enough. It really means a lot to me. It really encourages me to keep on doing this, and just makes it so much fun. So thank y'all so much. Today's video, honestly, didn't really have a lot going on this week for you guys. I did go hunting. Didn't get anything. Wasn't a lot of great video for me to show. So I decided, well, I'll go ahead and do another cooking video. So today we are going to be cooking a roast duck, and we're going to be making some roasted carrots and potatoes with a garlic and roasted tomato confit. So kind of fancy, but it's pretty easy to use, pretty easy to make. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Let me show you all my ingredients list. Alright, so here we have the ingredients. We've got some Sweet Select tomatoes, little cherry tomatoes. We got some carrots, some medley potatoes. I like to use these just because they're very colorful. They taste really good too. Got some brown gravy, fine powdered garlic, black pepper, flaky salt, rosemary, rub sage, onion powder, a little bit of chicken stock. Couldn't find duck stock, but they do make duck stock, so if you're able to find duck stock, you can definitely use that. And we're going to be doing extra virgin olive oil as well. Okay, so to get us started, you can find a duck just about any grocery store. Sometimes you might have to custom order them. I was really looking for duck breasts because I was just planning on cooking breasts, but they didn't have that at H-E-B, so I just got the whole bird. So we're going to be roasting this whole thing according to online. Usually they come frozen, so you want to leave this bird in your fridge for up to 24 to 48 hours before you cook it. Or, if you're in a rush like me, you can put it in a sink full of water. You want to change the water every 30 minutes, and it should take about 2 hours to completely thaw. So I've had my bird in the bath here for about 2 hours. I'm going to go ahead and check it, get it out of the package, and show y'all kind of what we're dealing with. Alright, so once you have your bird thawed, you're going to want to go ahead and pull out the giblets, which is just the innards. Now ducks, by their nature, are really, really fatty. So as you can see, this has got a lot of jiggle. This is definitely, a lot of high fat content. So as good as duck fat is for just about anything else, you want to kind of get rid of some of that fat. So when you go inside of here, if you feel the fat, you're going to want to pull it out, kind of like how I did here. I'm going to save this for my potatoes, because duck fat, like I said, it's gold to cook with. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and remove these flaps right here, and then we're also going to remove the tail. We're going to cut these off. That's just going to make sure that we have a little bit more room for roasting. We can save this. Like I said, this is pretty much just fat. So we can save this for later. We'll cook it down to make a little bit of oil for our potatoes and our carrots. So once we do that, I'm going to season the inside and the outside of the bird with my combination of fine garlic powder, onion powder, rub sage, salt, pepper. Gonna give this a good mix, and then we're also gonna stuff the bird with onions. Now, if you don't have onions with birds, or you don't have just a whole onion, or if you want to try something else, you can also use apples as well. So I'm actually gonna stuff this bird with half an onion and half an apple, and we're gonna see how that turns out. But let me go on ahead and get these pieces cut off. Meanwhile, while you're doing this, you want to set your oven to 325 degrees. Okay, so once you have your bird stuffed, if you want nice crispy skin, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a sharp knife, and you're just going to want to poke the breast. You don't want to poke too hard because you don't want to actually hit the muscle underneath. You just want to poke the skin so that way you get nice contact with the fat. Sometimes it's best to use a needle, like a thermometer, a probing needle, but you just want to poke it all the way around. And once that's good, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the lid on, and we're going to toss this into the oven. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put our bird in here, and then we're going to set a timer for 25 minutes. What we're really wanting to do with this bird is we're wanting to get the breasts to be about medium rare, which is about 130 to 140 temperature. Once they get to that temperature, which usually takes about 25 minutes for small birds, 45 for larger birds or geese, once they get to that temperature, we're going to take the bird out and we're going to carve the breasts off and then put the bird back in there so that way the legs, the thighs, and the wings get cooked fully. So while we're doing that, we're going to go ahead and start working on our garlic and tomato confit, as well as our roasted potatoes and carrots. Okay, so the confit is pretty easy. Really all you do is you just take garlic, you want to deshell it. I bought this from H-E-B already deshelled, so all I have to do is really just put a couple handfuls of this garlic into my pan here. This pan is actually a little too big for what I'm trying to do, but that's okay. We can bottle this up and use this later. We don't have to use this for the whole duck recipe. So we're going to fill this full of garlic, and then we're going to take our tomatoes, cut them in half, put these in there, just about a handful of tomatoes. Cut them in half, put them in here. Usually confits are actually made with fats, like duck fat. It's usually a way of cooking where it's submerged. I do have some duck fat rendering over here. That's what you hear in the background. I took the pieces of fat that I pulled from the duck and put them in a pan, medium heat. And we're just trying to render some of that fat down so I can drizzle it over the potatoes. We'll have more fat once the duck actually starts really cooking. But for right now, we're just going to try and get that to get started. So once we have all of our tomatoes and our garlic in here, we're going to put a pinch of salt. Just a little bit of salt, not too much. And a little bit of black pepper. And we're going to cover this in oil. I've got a couple different types of virgin olive oil here. I'm actually going to use this for the tomatoes. I mean the potatoes. I'm just going to use this. Like I said, the reason why you want kind of a smaller dish for this, usually like a ramekin, is because you want your olive oil to completely cover the tomatoes and the garlic. So this is probably going to take quite a bit of olive oil. There, that's pretty good. Okay. And then we're just going to pop this into the oven along with our duck, and then we'll start working on the potatoes and the carrots. Okay, so with the confit, what you're going to just want to do as far as cooking wise is you're just going to want to put it in the oven. I didn't find any particular temperatures for the confit, so I just put it in the same temperature with my duck at 325. But what you're wanting to do is you're just wanting the garlic and the tomatoes to kind of shrink, and you want them to lose their excess fluids, their water content, and you're wanting the garlic to get nice and brown and mushy. So that's pretty much what we're going to do for the confit. Now over here to this little pan that I've got, just want to show you guys something. See, I've only been cooking these extra pieces of duck fat for a little while, and look at how much grease has come up off of these things. I mean, it just goes to show you just how greasy and fatty duck can be, but this stuff is liquid gold. So I'm going to strain this out here into a little container. Don't want to burn it. I'm just going to strain it out into a little container, and I'm going to use this to cover my potatoes. So now for the potatoes and the carrots, I'm going to do something similar with the potatoes as the confit. We're just going to slice them up, put them flesh side up. carrots on here. Try to get them nice and evenly spread. I do want more potatoes than I do carrots though, just because I'm partial to potatoes. I like potatoes more than I like carrots. Get some more of these purple potatoes. These are so pretty. If you've never had purple potatoes before, they taste just like potatoes. They're just beautiful purple color. So, I mean, if you're trying to impress guests, purple potatoes is my way to go. I truly love cooking with them. Okay, so same with the confit. We're just going to put a little bit of salt. A little bit of black pepper. And then I was able to pull quite a bit of duck fat. If you're able to see, that's about how much duck fat I was able to pull just off of those pieces that I cut off. So I'm just going to drizzle this on my potatoes. And that's going to make a world of difference as far as flavoring the potatoes. Put a little bit on the carrots too. Now that's not quite enough oil to really get the job done, so we're going to finish the rest off with olive oil. I'm going to take the olive oil here. I'm just drizzling just a little bit more. We don't need to put too much. Just a little bit. More on the carrots than anything else, because I didn't really get the carrots all great. Okay. And then we're going to toss this into the oven along with our duck and along with our confit. Okay, so it's been about 25 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to check our duck. Grab it, make sure you grab it with both hands. Put it right here. And we have an instant read thermometer here. Oh, that doesn't look nearly close to being done. Just see what the temp is. Oh yeah, we still have a lot of time. So maybe this is a bit of a bigger duck than I thought, because it's only at 90 degrees. So we still have quite a bit to go with this. So I'm going to stuff this back into the oven. The nice thing about this recipe is, for the most part, after you have everything done in the oven, you can pretty much just sit down and relax. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it another 15-20 minutes, and then I'm going to check on the duck again, as well as the potatoes and the confit. So I'll see y'all back here in a little bit. Alright, so it ended up taking a little bit longer than I thought. I set a timer for about 40 minutes, and it finally reached the internal temp of about 145. So it's about 5 degrees higher than I originally wanted it to, but the breasts are ready, so we're going to go ahead and pull these out. So I'm just going to stick this with a fork here. Lift the bird out. Careful. Go. And then we're going to cut off these breasts. So find the middle bone here. Stick close to the bone. We're just going to run out. See all these juices coming out of this bird. It's ridiculous. This is going to be one juicy bird. Breasts are a little smaller than I thought they were going to be, but that's okay. This bird is just oozing with juices, and I'm going to have to clean up here. So as you can see, it cooked a little bit longer than I was supposed to. Still pink, very pink in the middle. It's still going to be very tender once I score the fat. So let me go ahead and get the other breast out. It's okay if you leave a little bit of that breast meat behind. I mean, you want to get as much out as you can, but we're going to be picking this bird clean once it's fully done cooking. Don't get to see my terrible knife skills. This around a little bit so I see what I'm doing here. There are 2 breasts. That's hot. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to stick this bird back in here. So I'm just going to take this fork, put it underneath the breastbone, and lay this bad boy back in here. Alright, so actually I went ahead and I set it back in here, but what I need to do is I need to take all this fat that's in here, all this grease, I need to take that out of here because I'm going to bottle it up because this is all pure duck fat. So we're going to take this carcass back out along with everything else. I'm going to grab a bowl here and we're going to empty that fat out. Bowl here. Clean this back out here. Along with all my apples and my onions. Try to get as many out as you can. It just makes it easier to clean up everything afterwards. We're going to be putting everything back in here once we're done. We just want to get the excess juice out of here because this is gold. I got a little mason jar that I'm going to put this in. You can put this in any airtight container that you want. I don't have a coffee filter on there right now, but ideally what you would want to use is you would want to use a coffee filter. So I'm going to do this over the sink so I don't make too much of a mess. Look at all of that fat. That's going to separate very nicely, and then from there I'm going to be able to use this in other cooking projects. It's very hot though, so I'm going to set this down here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the bird back into the roasting pan. Along with apples and my onions. Put the lid back on, and we're gonna wait until this is fully cooked to bring it back out. Potatoes and carrots are looking good as well. I'm gonna go ahead and check on the confit. It was looking pretty golden crispy, so let me check that out real quick. Oh yeah. This is perfect. Let me show you all exactly what I'm talking about here. So you see how the garlic has a nice brown crisp color to it, and the tomatoes have shriveled up a little bit. This is exactly what we're looking for the confit. So for the rest of the duck, we're going to leave it in the oven for about another 20 or so minutes. What we're wanting the rest of the duck to read internal temperature of about 165. So the confit is done. The potatoes and the carrots got a little bit longer to cook, and then so what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and start working on the brown gravy. So with that little pan that we used earlier to cook up some of the fat, we're going to take these gizzards and we're going to lay them in here and cook these. Some people like to use the livers. I do. Not everybody does. There's also a German soup that you can make out of the gizzard parts. If you don't want to use them for their intended purposes, you can use it in a soup. So we're going to get these nice and cooked up, and then we're going to chop them up finely and put them in our brown gravy mix. Now, the brown gravy is not actually for the steak parts, which I consider the breasts. This is actually going to be for like the legs, and you can drizzle it over the potatoes. It's optional. You don't have to make brown gravy if you don't want to. There are other types of gravy you can make. But this time I'm going to make brown gravy. So while I'm getting this cooking, I'm going to go ahead and grab a little pot and start working on the brown gravy itself. For the brown gravy, I'm just using this Pioneer brown gravy, and I'm just following the instructions on the back. Give you all a good look there. That's exactly what I'm going to do. The only difference is I'm going to sub the water out for chicken stock. That way it'll have a little bit more of a rich flavor to it. Alright, so my chicken stock is boiling over here, so I'm going to go ahead and add my brown gravy mix. Give that a good stir. We're going to let that cook down until it gets nice and thick. The liver and the gizzards and the heart and everything is turning out pretty good. Needs a little bit longer to cook. In fact, I'm going to break this little piece up. There we go. Going to give that a little bit longer to cook, and then I'm going to take them out. I'm going to take them over to the cutting board. Cut them pretty thin. You want them to be cut pretty thin, and then we're going to add that to our brown gravy mix. The brown gravy mix is actually done already. Didn't take long at all. Pull this off the heat. Let that sit there for a moment. So another thing that I've done while I was waiting for everything else to cook is I went ahead and I took my breasts and I scored them. So as you can see, they've got all these nice little cuts into the skin area here. I went both ways, both up and down. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow more exposure to the skin. It's going to get much crispier whenever we take it back over to this pan here in a moment and we're going to sear it. We're going to do that here in just a moment. We're just waiting for the liver and the gizzards to get cooked up. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to check the bird and see what the internal temp is on the legs. Well, I'm going to be running out of room here, but while I just checked the bird, I noticed that the potatoes and the carrots are done. So we're going to go ahead and pull those out as well. Oh, yeah, perfect. The carrots got nice and crunchy. Still a little bit of give. Potatoes look nice too. So we're going to go ahead and set this off to the side somewhere. Clearly I need a bigger kitchen. I need more counter space. Put that here for right now. Let that cool off a little bit. And then we're going to go ahead and check the duck. Okay, so my liver and the gizzards, these are done. So we're going to go ahead and put these over here on the cutting board. Get these nice and cut up. I'll tell you one thing, another thing that I'd love to do with this duck liver, if I ever get any ducks later on, is I'd love to make pate. I think that's something that you might see me do later on. It's another liver recipe, as you can tell, I'm pretty crazy about liver. Pate is wonderful, especially spread on toast. It's just a wonderful, wonderful dish. And it's a wonderful way to take a underutilized piece of meat and turn it into something good. So let me go on ahead and check the bird now, and then we're going to cut up our gizzards, put those in the brown gravy, and then we will go on ahead and continue forward. Alright y'all, so I went ahead and I got the bird pulled out, and you guys should smell the kitchen right now. It is absolutely fantastic. It smells like Thanksgiving. It is just absolutely amazing. So pretty much everything's done. I got to cut up the giblets, put them in the brown gravy, and then I just have to sear the duck breast, and then we're going to be done. So honestly, this recipe took about 2 hours. The base recipe said it was only going to take about an hour and a half. Cooking times may vary depending on your stove, of course. And you guys can use totally different seasonings. If y'all wanted to use more traditional Thanksgiving seasonings, you could definitely do that. Whatever seasoning you like on a bird. I mean, one thing that I was thinking about trying with this duck is covering it in a little bit of rum and brown sugar, the way my wife and I usually like to do our turkey. I'll probably try that again later on. But I mean, it smells absolutely fantastic. The confit turned out great. So I'm going to go ahead and quit yakking. I'm going to get everything else ready, and then we're going to get it plated up, and we'll show you what it looks like, and tell you how it tastes. Okay, so now we got just about everything done. Just waiting for the pan to heat back up to brown sear the top of the duck breast. So I'll show you how that looks here in just 1 second. All right, y'all. So all we really have to do left is we just have to sear the top of the duck breast. So I've got this little pan over here, the same one that I cooked the gizzards in. I'm just waiting for that to get hot. I'm going to add a little bit of rosemary, just for a little bit of flavor for the actual meat, because we want to eat it medium rare. We're really just searing the skin side. We're not really going to be searing the flesh side because it's pretty much already cooked. So we're just going to sear the skin, get a nice crisp to it, pull it off, then we'll plate it, and then I'll tell you guys what it tastes like. Alright, so we got our pan nice and hot. So now what we're going to do is I'm just going to lay these duck breasts in here, skin side down. We're going to press on these to kind of give them the best contact that you can get. So I'm going to take my spatula and just press down on here. I can smell the pepper that was on the skin. So these breasts are relatively small. I mean, they get a lot bigger on these ducks. This was a pretty small duck. If I would have had just the breasts, what I would have done is I would have sous vide'd them, made sure that they were internal temp of 135, 140 perfectly, and then from there I would have done the exact thing that I'm doing now with searing it. One thing you can do, So you can actually add a little bit of the duck fat back into this to have your oil. I don't really need to, just because it looks like it's producing its own duck fat here. So we're just looking for a good sear on the skin. These ended up turning out more closely to medium than medium rare, but that's okay. Like I said, if I would have had a bigger duck, I probably would have been able to do it a little easier. Let them sear for about 2 minutes, and then we're going to flip them over just for a second just to see what they look like, and then we're going to take them off. So here is what the searing does. It gives this nice skin, a nice good crisp. I mean, it's perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and plate these up, and I will do the taste test and tell you how they are. All right, well, we got her all plated up here, so now it's time to taste it. I'm going to go in order from what I think tastes great to what I think tastes amazing. So let me start with these potatoes here. Purple potatoes, because I love them so much. Not over seasoned. The duck fat really pops. It's mild, it's not super overbearing, but it definitely pops. Let's try a white potato. Same thing with the white potatoes, perfect. Nice crispy skin on the outside. Now let's try some of these carrots. Oh man, I could get addicted to those carrots. They're salty yet sweet. Fantastic. Oh man. Alright, let's move on to the darker meat and the brown gravy. We've got a little bit of a giblet here with brown gravy. Let's try that. Oh, delicious. Alright, let's try the actual meat here. You know, if I close my eyes, I would think that I was maybe eating turkey. Turkey with brown gravy. This is fantastic. Really light. I mean, it's definitely bird. You can tell it's a bird. You know, it doesn't taste like something completely, totally different. I would say that it's close to chicken or turkey. Maybe in between chicken and turkey. I think that'd be a good representation of it. But solid piece of meat. Let me finish this last bite here. Fantastic. Alright, now, piece de la resistance. Let's try the breast here. Ended up coming out medium. That's okay. Like I said, if it was a bigger bird, it might have tasted different, but let me get some of this tomato on top of here. Piece of garlic. Let's try this. confit, the tomatoes adds a bit of a acidic, fruity flavor to it, but the actual breast itself is fantastic. Wow, this is amazing. Well, there you go, y'all. Another amazing dinner. Like I said, I'm no expert chef, so I'm sure this probably could have been cooked a different way, and it would have come out better. But for trying for this recipe for the first time, I think I did a pretty darn good job. So I will see y'all later on the next episode of Budget Hunter. Catch y'all.